Hi there and welcome to this week's edition of Top End Track Talk. I'm Andrew O'Toole and today we'll be having a special Christmas edition as we focus on the final Darwin race meeting of the year 2020. Of course that meeting's this coming Saturday the 19th of September, but today I'm delighted to be joined by Darwin trackman Tony McGovern, who fancies himself as a bit of a tipster, and with his intimate knowledge of Stable Street here in Darwin and its participants, I'm sure he'll be able to come up with a winner or two. Welcome Tony, great to have you on Top End Track Talk.
Thanks Andrew. Season's greetings to you and our viewers, and hopefully, like you said, we can find a winner in what is looks like a bit of a tricky card this coming Saturday.
Yeah, my word, at Saturday's meeting of course is the last of three successive weekly meetings in the top end prior to Christmas, and I'm pleased to say that with the good number of entries, and there was some 52 nominations on the day, as well as the lack of riders we're experiencing at present, as well as a couple of injuries, that we've divided no less than two races and have 7 events on the card, so a bumper day to finish the year. The first is the Happy 50th Wayne Davis Handicap, a 0 to 58 event over 1300 metres, and a special shout out to our good mate WD, who celebrated a milestone birthday this week. One of the Territory's great characters. We wish Wayne a very happy birthday and all the best for the next 12 months. The opener on Saturday is timed to go at the earlier time of 1:28 p.m. at Northern Territory time. And in the first, my numbers are 2, 4 and 1. Going here with number 2, Whitemore from the Dick Leach stable, and Terry Treichel travels from Alice Springs to take the mount. This horse has only had the one start in Darwin. That was just a week ago, and finished a very good second, I thought, behind Dizzy Miss Lizzie. That one will be knocking on the door and got its just desserts. But Whitemore fought on strongly. That was 1,100 metres. I think the step up to the 1,300 metres, a definite advantage. And I've got Whitemore on top to go one better than a week ago. In for second, number 4, Blue Jean Baby from the Gary LaFoe stable. Jared Todd takes the mount. This horse has had 2 runs back this campaign, was a good winner 2 starts back in a fresh state, and then last time out a very good second, I thought, behind El Sicario. Going up in trips probably the only question mark for me, but shorter race well again. And in for third, number 1, Count of Essex. He can't be left out of calculations in a race of this nature. Adam Nichols, great to see Chippy with a double last week, and of course Gary Clark trains this one. He's actually coming down in grade, Count of Essex, so watch for him over the 1,300. He'll be better at a mile, but 1,300 won't worry him. So my numbers in the first 2, 4 and 1. Tony, what do you like?
Yeah, look, I have to agree with Whitemore. Its first start in the track last week was very good, and looks like it can continue on its winning way. I had Grazing Jabroo in for second. It wasn't a reasonable run as well two weeks ago, and I think it can continue on, and it's well weighted there. And of course, as you said, Count of Essex, always consistent and around the mark, so I thought that was in for third.
Thanks, Tone. In the second, the Darwin Racing Handicap, it's the second division of the 0 to 58, also over the 1,300 metres, of course. Numbers here, 2, 6 and 4. Doesn't win out of turn number 2, Immutable, but I thought in this little field he had a pretty good chance. Terry Treichel aboard for Cherie Lawler. 2 good thirds, its last 2 behind Captain Apollo and Mr. Boom Jangles in 64 and 70 grade. So down in grade, does tend to get out of its ground a little bit, Immutable, but I thought could hit the line solidly and had this at its mercy. In for second, number 6, Dunkirk, Wayne Davis for Tayan Halter. Last couple of runs have been better. Up and trip, I think the key to this horse, so I've got it in to run a place. And in for third, number 4, Camogli. Just gets so far out of its ground like it did last week. Vanessa Arnott for Tayan Halter. If it can jump with them and be in the party, I think it's a chance to run a drum as well. So in the second, 2, 6 and 4. Tony, what did you come up with?
Yeah, look, I was very similar, except I've got Calhoun Kid in as the winner. I think it's it had a win at this distance back in September. It's been racing consistently since, and no doubting though, Immutable, it's been very good its last 2 starts, so it's going to prove a very strong danger to Calhoun Kid.
Thanks, Tone. In the third, the Merry Christmas Handicap, another 1,300 metre event. This one for the 0 to 64 gallopers. My numbers here, 4, 2 and 8. He hasn't raced for almost 7 weeks. Number 4, Fort Knox, of course, trained by Gary Clark. He's won his last 3, all at the mile. Had them freshen up and back to the 1,300 metres. Jared Todd retains the association. I thought he was good enough. His earlier form was first class, and I thought the 1,300 metres first up for a while wouldn't hold any fears for him. I've got him on top. To beat number 2, Weapon, Gary Lafoe Jr. trains, Vanessa Arnott in the saddle. 2 good runs its last 2 behind Salty and Mr. Boom Jangles, especially that run behind Salty. Shorter race well again, and in for third, Recording to Win. Number 8, Wayne Davis for Phil Cole. Good second last time out, ridden by the apprentice Alice Lindsay behind Cuban Mint, only beaten less than half a length on that occasion, and with a senior rider on today, and another 1300 metre event. I've put that into run third. 4, 2 and 8 in the third. Tone, what did you like in this one?
Yeah, look, I thought there was lots of chances in this race. Fort Knox has been going well, but as you said, over the 1600. I believe it is probably a 1600 plus horse, so I think it'll jump out and lead, but I think the 1300 specialist 1300 metre horses will probably come through here. El Sicario is looking good. Pat Johnson's, for his number of horses in his stable, is having an excellent win strike rate of late, so it's certainly in there with a chance. But I ended up going with Gary Lafoe's Weapon to win from the 2 Phil Cole horses who have both won over the 1300 at Darwin, Recording to Win and Looking for You. Certainly
a tricky affair, that one, Tony. I agree. I found it a difficult one, but that's not unusual for me. Race 4, the Bolton Rex Handicap. It's over the 1200s for the Benchmark 76 sprinters, the highest grade race of the day. A field of 7 to go around here. My numbers are 4, 1 and 3. I'm going with the Tayan Halter pair on top here. Number 4, Shift the Risk for me. Vanessa Arnott aboard again. Really good run first up the other day for almost 6 months, win second behind the captain at over 1100 in the same grade. The captain admittedly carried a lot of weight, but he's a pretty smart horse, Shift the Risk, and I think with that run under the belt, he'll come on for that effort. In for second, the Class Act number 1, Eastwood. Adam Nichols aboard for Tayan. Hasn't raced since finishing a very close third in the Palmerston way back on the 3rd of August, so he's in a fresh state. He'll give a good account of himself, I'm sure. He's a class act, and he has won twice over the trip from some 9 runs. And in for third, hard to leave him out, Salty, number 3. He's won his last 4 for Phil Cole and Alice Lindsay, and hasn't raced for 4 weeks, so he's had a little bit of a freshen up, but certain to be in the mix. 4, 1 and 3, Tone, in the Benchmark 76. How did you see it? Yeah, look, once again, I thought there was a few chances here, and obviously Divine Red, a good win last week. Ransom Money for Dick Leach, who's been there or thereabouts in its races. Sir Plush, it's had its start on the track now, so we might see improvement given that it now knows where it's going. Also, Salty's been working very well. Alice Lindsay, under the tutorage of Phil Cole, has Salty going very, very well, and obviously this is going for 5 in a row. Gave Salty a pat this morning, and I can assure you punters out there that he's looking fine and well. The other good thing that the punters, Andrew and I didn't go through our tips prior to this, and funny enough, I've gone with the Tayan Halter Quinella as well, with Eastwood on top from Shift the Risk and Salty third. So that should give the punters a lot of confidence so far that we've been pretty close to the mark. Either a lot of confidence or they'll be terrified to hell. Race 5, Tone, the Silks Darwin Trobus Maiden. This race is the first division of the maiden. Of course, we divided this. 1200 metres for the maideners. A field of 7. My numbers here, 5, 4 and 6. Going with Aradana. The dogs were barking this one when it raced here on the 5th of December. Could only manage third on that occasion, but it was still a pretty good run for Gary Lafoe and Vanessa Arnott. 1200 metres this time as opposed to 1000, so the step up, probably a bit of a question mark for me, just the way it went the other day, but I think, as Tony alluded to, having a run on the track is all important, and Aradana hadn't trialled prior to that first up run. So we're going with 5 on top to beat number 4, Kickin' Goals. Alice Lindsay for Phil Cole, knocking on the door. 2 placed efforts behind Don't Say It and Fashionetti in its last 2. And in for third, number 6, Pneumatic Sands, Jared Todd for Gary Lafoe. Also has had just the 1 start on the track behind Don't Say It. Was beaten a fair way on that occasion, but I think there's improvement there. 5, 4 and 6 for mine. And the 5th, Tone, how did you see it? Yeah, look, I think it's the harder of the 2 maidens that have been split, without any doubt. Crazy Suspects move stables over to Cherie Lawler. Phil Cole's got 3 engaged, and Kickin' Goals, Stroke of Magic and Seclusion. Gary Lafoe with his horse going, Aradana going out to 1200, I thought would be a very strong query on that, as you noted earlier. I ended up going with Stroke of Magic for first, Seclusion for second, and Crazy Suspect to come in third. No doubt it's a tricky maiden, that one, as they all are. Tone, race 6, the Santa is coming, Trobus Maiden, the 2nd division, also over the 1200. And I agree with you. I think this is probably the easier of the two. Phil Cole, as you mentioned, had 3 in the first maiden. He's got 3 in this, and I'm going for him to trifecta it with the numbers of 5, 1 and 4. Bella Rubino, she only has to get out of the gates, and I think she'll be winning this. She has a tendency to be slow to jump. She was last week. She was the previous start. And you just can't give away those starts here over the short courses in Darwin. But she made up a lot of ground behind FASHIONETTI, only beaten 3.4. And Alice Lindsay aboard. Phil Cole, of course, the trainer, as we mentioned. So with an ounce of luck, she can jump and be hard to beat. 5 on top to beat number 1, Deep Seated. Like the way this horse trialled just a handful of weeks back. Wayne Davis aboard. Pretty decent form in Queensland, a couple of seconds, 1 at Ipswich, 1 at Doomben, so you'd consider that to be good enough to win a race here in Darwin. And in for third, number 4, Proper Belter, Vanessa Arnott for Coley, a couple of good seconds, and then a 5th last time behind FASHIONETTI, so knocking on the door. 5, 1 and 4, how did you see the 6, mate?
Yeah, look, there's 3 first starters on the track engaged in this race, so I've always I preferred to watch the first starters, but in this case, Deep Seated was, as you said, a very good trial, and its form down in Queensland probably makes it look the clear winner here. In from Phil Cole's other horse, Proper Belter, and I've got Numbazi in third for Pollard. So.
In Tombazi, yeah, it's had a run here, hasn't it? So yeah. We'll certainly watch that second maiden with interest. The last of the day, the season's greeting handicap. It's over the 1100 for the benchmark 54 gallopers. A field of 7 here, going with 6, 4 and 2. FASHIONETTI was impressive, winning first up on the track. I know Tony was keen on it on that occasion. Adam Nichols takes over from Stan Sakos. Stan's gone back south. And Chippy in form with a double last week, as we mentioned. And FASHIONETTI would only have to reproduce its good maiden win. Admittedly, it's up in grade from a maiden to the benchmark 54 and up 100 metres to the 1100. But it was impressive the other day, and I've got it on top 6. To beat forward, Defence Attorney. I was keen on this horse last week. Almost ran a drum, just knocked off late and ran 4th. Going down and trip, probably a bit of a question mark. Vanessa Arnott for Tayan Holter, but certainly knocking on the door. And in for third, number 2, Faith and Love, Alice Lindsay for Phil Cole. I like the way this horse performed. First up on the track, went second to the smart Manly Cove. So 6, 4 and 2. The last, Tony, how did you see it?
Oh, it's a great race to end the year. I could make a case for all the runners here. Kalmar loves this time of year, had 2 wins in January earlier this year over approximately the same distance. Coming off an 8-month spell, see how that goes. Faith and Love's not disgraced. Chris Pollard's got 2 in, that certainly could win it. They were both honest, and as is Defence Attorney. An Half a Crown, excuse me, Sheree, was a winner 3 starts back. But FASHIONETTI worked well again this morning. It's only got 1 pace, and that's fast, and it can sustain a fairly decent run. And its first up win 2 weeks ago was very, very impressive. I don't see the extra 100 metres being a real problem, and I've got it on a clear top, to be honest. Second, Mint on Moseley, and third, Faith and Love.
Good race to finish the card, Tone. Thanks for that. The best bets of the day for mine come up in race 1, number 2, Whitemore. Race 1, number 2, Whitemore, and in the last, race 7, number 6, FASHIONETTI. Have you got a couple of best bets for us, mate?
Look, I'd go with those 2 as well, but I think for me, FASHIONETTI is probably the pick of the day.
Well, that wraps up this edition of Top End Track Talk, and we'll take a little hiatus now until mid-January to allow our gun cameraman and producer Fletcher Waters a little time off over the festive season. On behalf of myself, Tony McGovern and Fletch, I'd like to take this opportunity of wishing you all a very, very Merry Christmas and a new year filled with many winners and hopefully a COVID-free year. Until next year, good luck and good punting.